Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. How are you, Cantor Gurney, this morning?
I am well. I think your audio is a little out of sync with your video, but now say something now.
Shabbat shalom. Is it okay?
No, there's still a delay. That's
well.
That's all right.
All right. Well, I think we were supposed to begin with Ma Tovu, how beautiful the tents of Jacob are this morning, and your dwelling place is Israel, a blessing to be together. So hopefully we're going to start with that.
Yeah, you're back in sync. See, you know, I think it was just the internet was confused because, you know, on Shabbat we have two souls.
That's right.
So it wasn't sure which soul was talking.
Well, that's perfect for what our draw.
Now we're back in sync. So here we go. Ma tovu, ma tovu, alecha Yaakov, mishkerotecha Yisrael, ma tovu, ma tovu, alecha Yaakov, mishkerotecha Yisrael, v'ani berov chastecha avovetecha eshtacha v'elecha al kodshecha b'yiratecha ma tovu, ma tovu, alecha Yaakov, mishkerotecha Yisrael, ma tovu, ma tovu, alecha Yaakov, mishkerotecha Yisrael, Adonai ahavti me'on betecha u'mekom mishkan kevodecha, mishkan kevodecha, ma tovu, ma tovu, alecha Yaakov, mishkerotecha Yisrael, ma tovu, ma tovu, alecha Yaakov, mishkerotecha Yisrael.
I always sing along with you when I hear that. It's so beautiful. It's a beautiful way to start Shabbat. But before we talk about Shabbat, how was your Thanksgiving?
You know, it's an interesting question, Rabbi Nanus. Of course, you know what? It was beautiful. It was, you know, it was just us, the three of us, and we had a beautiful time, a beautiful meal. It was, of course, very different than every other year past. But in a way, it made the gratitude a little more acute, right? A little more special and focused. So for that, we're grateful. Of course, at the same time, we missed having, the entire family together. Like many, I'm sure, we Zoomed with my brother and his whole family in Cleveland, and my nephews and Nancy's parents and cousins. So through the miracle of, the digital world, we were able to be together in that sense, which is better than not. So I imagine most people share the similar kind of Thanksgiving experience.
Yes. For me too, it was my daughter and myself, but we with a vegan meal because she's a vegan, and and then we Zoomed with our family all over the country. So thank God for that. And we do have a lot to be grateful for, and that is why it's so perfect that one of the first prayers on Shabbat are the Nisim B'chol Yom, where we acknowledge the everyday miracles of life. The Nisim B'chol Yom, we thank God for all of them.
Let's join together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hama'avir sheina meinai, utunu mamei afapai.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani b'tzelem Elohim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani ben chorin.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani Yisrael.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, ozer Yisrael bigvura.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, oter Yisrael b'tifara.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen. So the last bracha is about studying Torah, and I wish we could spend this whole time studying this parsha because it's an unbelievable parsha about Jacob first, running away from his family and then meeting Rachel and falling in love. And then, of course, we know the famous story, how his father-in-law switched sisters on him. So he had to marry Leah. And I think most people know, but if you don't, the reason in a Jewish wedding that a groom comes in and puts the veil on his bride is because of this story, to make sure before the veil goes on, it's the right girl, it's the right bride, and not her sister or a substitute. And it comes all the way back from the story. So there's so much to study.
I don't think you could even find this on Netflix. What's included in this parsha in Vayetze?
It's true. It's full of drama.
Yeah.
Jealousy, romance, women's issues, sisterly, strife. It's husband and wife strife. You're right. It's fascinating.
Betrayal.
I'm sorry?
Betrayal galore.
Betrayal. Oh my God, betrayal. And even a stealing of the idols. Idol worship is included in this story. Also, speaking of study, we're going to be starting a whole new session of classes after the new year, the secular new year. And one of them is going to be Rabbi Joel Nickerson teaching Psalms you should know, important Psalms, which are magnificent poems and songs. And probably one of the most famous ones he's going to be teaching is this one, Psalm 150, which is the most joyful psalm, full of music. And we're going to hear it now.
We are. Hallelujah, 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 bekodsho, hallelujah, birkia uzo, hallelujah, bigvurotav, hallelujah, kerov gudlo. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Kol hanshama tehallel, hallelu, hallelujah. Kol hanshama tehallel, hallelu, hallelujah.
Continue with the Baruch Hu.
Lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach leolam vaed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach leolam vaed.
We continue with the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. And now we'll join together in the chanting of the V'ahavta. You know, actually, the V'ahavta is a Torah text. We know that first as we look at it because it has trope, the cantillation markings. And the Shema, you know, we refer to these two things as separate entities, Shema, V'ahavta. They're really one entity as they're found in the Torah. So the V'ahavta are just blessings that are found within the Shema, and then there are blessings that precede Shema and blessings that follow after Shema. So now let's join together in this Torah text, V'ahavta. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'beitecha u'belechtecha v'aderech u'b'shochbecha u'b'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. And now to you, Susan.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, you know, usually when we talk about the Micha Mocha, we always focus on the crossing of the sea and the singing on the shore. But I wanted to talk about the very first, you know, line in the prayer, which is Micha Mocha be'elim Adonai. Who is like you among the gods, Adonai? And in this week's Torah portion, after Jacob has married Rachel and Leah and their 2 handmaidens and has 12 sons and a daughter. And they're deciding to go back to the land of Canaan. And he's going to reconcile with his brother Esau. And they're leaving. Rachel steals the household gods of her father, of her pagan father and their family. So we see that there were other gods, and the commentaries and biblical scholars say either these were fertility gods because she had such terrible time, conceiving and hoped for another child, or they were the household gods, which gave power to each family that she was stealing, and she took them with her. And as we know, her father, was horrified of losing these gods and chased after them to get them back. But we see that even in those times where people were worshiping Adonai and, the God, they still depended on these minor household gods. And that's why this prayer, and after the Egyptians, came out of Egypt where there were multiple gods, this prayer had a lot of meaning to make this declaration a unique idea in the world that there was one God, only one. That was a concept that the Jewish people brought to the world. So we now continue with the Mi Chamocha.
Let's all join together. Mi Chamocha b'elim Adonai, Mi Chamocha nehedar b'kodesh, Norat hilot, osefele. Let's try it again. Mi chamocha b'elim Adonai, Mi kamocha nehedar b'kodesh, Norat hilot, osefele. Shira Kadasha Shibechu Geolim Neshimecha Al Tzefat Hayam Yachad Kulam Odu Vihimlichu Ve'amru Adonai Yimloch Leolam Vaed Sur Yisrael Kuma B'Yezrat Yisrael Ufedechinu Mecha Yehuda B'Yisrael Ko'aleinu Adonai Tzivot Shemo Kedosh Yisrael Baruch Ata Adonai Ka'al Yisrael.
Amen. We continue now with the Amidah. If you would like to stand, please do so.
Adonai Sifatai Tiftach Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Ve'Elohei Avotenu Ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora El Elyon Komel Chasadim Tovim V'Koneh Hakol V'Zocher Chasei Avot Ve'Imahot U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'Nehem Leman Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen Baruch Ata Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah Ata Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayeh HaKol Ata Rav Lehoshia Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו ראשני עבר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל.
We take a moment now to reflect on what we have to be grateful for, especially on this Thanksgiving weekend, in a moment, for some moments of silent reflection.
מיול רצון אמרי פי, מיול רצון אמרי פי, והגיון ליבי לפניך, אדוני צורי וגואלי.
So I know you're going to sing another song, a song of Modim, which is a song of gratitude for Thanksgiving. The word Modim comes from Modeh, which comes from Todah, which means thank you. And the word Jew, Yehudi or Yehudah, comes from Todah, which means thank you. And I learned something, Cantor, you'll find very interesting. The Hebrew word for turkey, which we eat on Thanksgiving, is hodu, which means let us give thanks.
It does. And you know what? We're going to save that for a little later.
Oh, you're going to do the Modim later?
A little later, yeah. Just a little later in the service. Give us time to actually find it and everything here.
Okay. So are we going to move right to the Torah service then?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. And let's begin with our prayers.
Yeah, very good. Okay, let me just let me get back in StreamYard here.
We're not going to start with the Torah blessings. We're going to start with Ki Mitzion.
Hold on one second, because that's okay. Yeah, we'll start right with the Ki Mitzion, and then we'll go from there. Ki Mitzion Tetzei Torah, Ki Mitzion Tetzei Torah, Udvar Adonai Mirushalayim, Baruch Shenatan Torah, Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah, le'amo Yisrael, b'kedushato, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadelul Adonai iti, Unaromema Shemo Yachtav.
So this week's Torah portion, as I mentioned, is the story of Jacob. It's called Vayetze, which means he went out. And it's when he left his home after, as we know, stealing the birthright from his brother, yet getting blessings from both his parents in any case. So I guess they knew, Rebecca always knew, but I guess Isaac acknowledges this was the right choice. But Esau is vowing to kill his brother for stealing the birthright. So Rebecca sends her son back to Haran, which is in Mesopotamia, in Iraq, to her brother Laban. We read about him originally when Rebecca was a young girl and came to Canaan to marry Isaac. And on his way, he stops. He's a young guy. He's like, 17, 18 years old. And he's on his way and it gets dark and he's a little frightened. So he takes a stone and turns it sideways and lies down, uses it as a pillow. I think it's interesting. It's a stone. Not very comfortable, but, and he has a dream, a very powerful dream that is quite famous in art, in literature, in poetry. And first we're going to have the Cantor chant this section of the Torah, and then we're going to talk about this dream and all its implications.
And as our ritual is, we'll all join together first in the Torah blessings. Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam vaed. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch ata Adonai noten haTorah. Vayetze Yaakov mibe'er Shava, vayelech Harana, vayivka b'makom, vayahalen sham kiva hashemesh, vayikach me'avnei hamakom, vayasem merashutav, vayishkav b'makom hahu, vayachalom, v'hinei sulam mutzav arza, בראשו מגיע השמיימה, והנה מלאכי אלוהים עולים ויורדים בו. והנה אדוני ניצב עליו, ויאמר, אני אדוני, אלוהי אברהם אביך, ואלוהי יצחק, הארץ, אשר אתה שוכב עליה, לך אתננה ולזרעך, והיה זרעך כעפר הארץ, ופרצת ימה וקדמה וצפונה ונגבה, ונברכו בך כל משפחות האדמה ובזרעך. והנה אנוכי עמך, ושמרתיך בכל אשר תלך, והשיבותיך אל האדמה הזאת, כי לא אעזובך עד אשר אם עשיתי את אשר דיברתי לך. ויקץ יעקב משנתו, ויאמר, אכן יש אדוני במקום הזה, ואנוכי לא ידעתי. וירא ויאמר, מה נורא המקום הזה, אין זה, כי אם בית אלוהים, וזה שער השמיים. וישכם יעקב בבוקר, ויקח את האבן אשר שם מרשותיו, וישם אותה מצבה, ויצוק שמן על ראשה, ויקרא את שם המקום ההוא בית אל, ואולם לו שם העיר לראשונה. וידר יעקב נדר לאמור, אם אלוהים עמדי, ושמרני בדרך הזה אשר אנוכי הולך, ונתן לי לחם לאכול ובגד ללבוש. ושבתי בשלום אל בית אבי, והיה אדוני לי לאלוהים. והאבן הזאת אשר שמתי מצבה יהיה בית אלוהים, וכל אשר תיתן לי אעשרנו לך. And now please join with me in the blessing after. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu torat emet, v'chaye olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
So I'm going to read the translation of what the cantor chanted because it's so dramatic and so important. Jacob left Beersheba and set out for Haran. He came upon a certain place and stopped there for the night, for the sun had set. Taking one of the stones of that place, he put it under his head and lay down in that place. He had a dream. A stairway was set on the ground. Now it's interesting, it says stairway here, but literally it's ladder. But this translation says stairway, but it's a ladder. And it's the bottom was on the ground and its top reached the sky. And the angels of God were going up and down on it. And the Lord was standing beside him. And he said, I am the Lord, the God of your father, Abraham, and the God of Isaac. The ground in which you are lying, I will assign to you and to your offspring. Your descendants shall be as the dust of the earth. You shall spread out to the west, to the east, to the north, to the south. All the families of the earth shall bless themselves by you and your descendants. Remember, I am with you. I will protect you wherever you go and will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. And Jacob woke up from the sleep and he said, surely the Lord is present in this place, and I did not know it. Shaken, he said, how awesome is this place? This is none other than the abode of God, and that is the gateway to heaven. Early in the morning, Jacob took the stone that he had put under his head and set it up as a pillar and poured oil on top of it. He named that site Beit El, which means house of God. But previously, the name of the city had been Luz. Jacob made a vow saying, if God remains with me, if he protects me on this journey that I am making and gives me bread to eat and clothing to wear, and if I return safe to my father's house, the Lord shall be my God. And this stone which I have set up as a pillar shall be God's abode. And of all that you give me, I will set aside a tithe for you. So this is so interesting. And I know, Cantor, why you read this whole section. Mm-hmm. Because Jacob goes to sleep very afraid, and he has this beautiful dream. And you know what I thought about for the first time, Cantor? You know, we talk about Joseph being a dreamer, but his father was a dreamer too, and we never really realized that. He may have inherited that gift of prophecy or dreams from his father, because Jacob has a few dreams.
No doubt.
You know, so anyway, he has this dream, which we'll talk about, where God basically blesses him and promises that he'll protect him, he'll be with him, and he wakes up, and suddenly we have a echo.
Here, let me get out of this and see if that'll help.
Turn on your mute for now.
Yeah, we got it.
Okay. And he has this blessing and all these promises, but what does he say? And I know you pointed this out to me. If it happens, I'll believe in God. You know, it's like he can't even take it for granted. He can't believe it. He has to sort of have a conditional vow. And the rabbis are disturbed by this, actually. And some of them say he's not saying, then God will be my God, but God is my God. It's a declaration. But we sometimes, we have blessings or we have promises, but then, when the minute they're over, we go, well, I'm not sure. I need proof. We look for proof as opposed to faith. And I find it fascinating how all of our patriarchs and matriarchs are so flawed, so filled with human frailty.
I think that's the beautiful point of it all, Susan, that in our biblical tradition, they're human beings, fully human beings. They're not superheroes. They're not gods.
They're not.
Fully fleshed out human beings, and every last one of them is a rich human being with flaws, with potential for greatness, for humility, and for all of the faults that we all share today. And it's not a philosophical argument. How can one prove one's belief in God? You'd have to be able to prove that God exists, and many philosophers have tried to do that, and theologians, right? And it comes down to what is in your mind and your heart, what you believe, right?
Or the Hasidic belief that there's always a blessing and there's always good, no matter what, you can find the good. But I want to go back to this image, the same as image of the ladder, with the angels going up and down at the same time. And there's some fascinating understandings of that. One being that you need certain angels in your home country, in your home turf, and different angels when you go off into the world. So these are exchange of angels. You need different kinds of angels to protect you. Another idea is that we ascend to holiness one rung at a time, and sometimes we fall back. Well, sometimes we're ascending to holiness, sometimes we're descending. And these angels represent the growth and the flaws of our soul going up and down the ladder. And also in gematria, which is this idea that every Hebrew word has numerical value. The same numerical value for the word for ladder, sulam, is for Sinai, Mount Sinai. And some commentaries say that it's a symbol of, we're at the bottom of Sinai. It's the image, a foretelling of that time when we will be at the base of the mountain and we will receive, God will appear to us at the top. Mm-hmm. But let's go even deeper, Cantor. Do you believe in angels? Because there are angels all over the Torah in many, many places.
They sure are. They appear everywhere. They appear not only, first fundamentally, throughout the Torah, and we're reading one of the most beautiful passages, of course, when the three spirits, angels, messengers appeared to Abraham, as well as a very powerful moment
to Hagar.
Exactly.
To Hagar, to Abraham when he's about to slaughter Isaac.
Yeah, and so this angelology, this tradition of angels, dates back at least to the Torah, because we know that it existed even before the Torah was written. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been written, right? This was in the minds of the ancients. I certainly know that they believed in angels, and, I think I do. And it's not, again, to me, it's a similar kind of thinking to having faith in God. It's a challenging thing to believe in things that one cannot see or touch or experience in any physical realm.
Well, the Talmud goes into great detail, and so does Maimonides, describing there are 10 levels of angels, and there are 4 archangels. The top angels are Gabriel, Michael, Uriel, and Raphael. They are the archangels. Michael guards children. Gabriel gives us strength, from the word Gibor. Uriel from Or, lights the way. And Raphael is the healing angel who guards our physical being, because Rophe, the word doctor, and Raphael is from the same thing.
Yeah.
But I found the Hasidic masters and the Kabbalah also says that every time a human being does a good deed, you give energy to a good angel who now starts to watch over you. You acquire angels, an angel protection for every good deed you do. And when you do a bad deed, when you do something wrong or hateful, you give power to the bad angels because they also exist. We know that story about Shalom Aleichem, where the song of greeting angels on Shabbat, that a good angel and a bad angel peer into your window and they bless you according to what you're doing, or they get power from how you are celebrating Shabbat. So this idea that we can create angels or holiness in the world through our good deeds, and it gives more and more power, and they stay with us. The more good deeds you do, the more angels are surrounding you, is a beautiful idea.
It is beautiful. It's a rich way through which, to view the world, to view one's existence, that.
And also angels have no choice of their character. Either they're good or they're bad. They can't choose, whereas human beings are so much richer. God gave us the choice and the Torah. The angels didn't want us to have the Torah, but God gave us the Torah and gave us a whole way of life. And we, have more power in a way, or more freedom than angels. And the last thing I want to say is sometimes in the Torah, the angels are disguised as human beings, like the three men who came to see Abraham and announced the birth of Isaac, and then went to Sodom and Gomorrah to warn Lot. Or there is an angel, a man who guides Joseph toward his brothers. We forget about that angel. It's a man. You'll see there's a man suddenly appears and tells Joseph how to find his brothers, and that just sets off the whole story. So then I heard another Hasidic teacher say there's two kinds of angels. There are angels masquerading as people, as humans, and then there are humans masquerading as angels. And that is our opportunity to be angels in this life, to bring the goodness into the world. And so now when I think about doing a good deed, I'm going to think about the angel that I'm empowering and joining me. And that's a beautiful way to think about how to go through life. You're walking with this parade of goodness around you, protecting you.
Yeah, there's a kind of serenity to be found in all of that. I'm just thinking now, Susan, it just occurred to me that perhaps, we're talking before about the angels going up and then coming down, and the possibility of us falling down a rung on the ladder, maybe even crashing all the way to the earth, right? And these angels who are stationed on earth at the bottom of the ladder, perhaps they're there to protect us when we fall and gently push us back up the ladder, one rung at a time.
That is beautiful. Right? And finally, the word for angel is malach, which means messenger. So sometimes when somebody appears in your life with some kind of a message, whether in a dream or in reality, you might consider that this being is an angel.
Right.
And so in the name of Raphael, the healing angel, we're going to say the Mishaberach now, which is a blessing for healing, emotional healing, physical healing, or spiritual healing. And if there's someone in your life who needs healing, please say that person's name out loud now, or many people if you have. And with them in mind, the cantor is now going to chant the Mishaberach.
Very good. And I think we have the words. Here we go. Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Ve'imotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
So just a few announcements before we conclude our service. Tonight at 7 o'clock, we have a Havdalah, and it's Rabbi Bo Shapiro and myself, and we will be discussing the Jewish connection between Thanksgiving, the Jewish connection to Thanksgiving, which there's actually quite a bit. It was really interesting.
Yeah, Rabbi Shapiro spoke about that last night, and I, along with everyone else, was very, surprised and fascinated by those connections.
Oh, well, we were talking about, that's the Havdalah as well. And we want to invite you to watch Culture Mavens, where we recommend all kinds of Jewish programs in arts and ideas. Some of them aren't Jewish, but they're great. And actually this week, Tom Teichholz and I did a detective special where we talked about all our favorite detective shows online. And we had a ton of recommendations.
I'll be watching that very closely. And when is Culture Mavens?
It's it's online it's every Friday it comes out, but you can just go to our website and look for the recommendations. So we talked about that. And then we just want to get everybody ready for our big 8 crazy nights of Hanukkah programs starting the first night, I think, is the 11th or no, the 10th Hanukkah. And we'll be you'll see all the programming you can sign up for. Some of it's family programming, some of it's adult programming. So we'll be lighting candles every night. 8 crazy quarantine.
8 crazy nights. We have Music Matters coming up this Monday, as we always do. And this week we're back to the music and life of Leonard Bernstein, session number 2. We started with Lenny just a few weeks ago, his Broadway musicals and his songs. And this session, we're going to focus on his classical works, his large-scale works, symphonies, many of which are based on deep and serious Jewish themes.
And I will be doing a program on Thursday at lunchtime. It's a makeup program from our contemporary Jewish issues. I wasn't going to do it, but then everybody was telling me I had to do it. It's called Would Our Ancient Rabbis Watch the Bachelorette, about love, marriage, and courtship and Jewish tradition and all the laws of love and marriage, and teaching how it was in the old days. And a lot of it was pretty fantastic. I'll just give you one little hint. It says a husband should treat his wife like the Shekhinah and adorn her with jewels and beautiful clothing. A lot of women like that one.
There you go. I'm not sure about would the ancient rabbis watch, but I know that contemporary rabbis absolutely watch.
They do? I know.
Oh, yes, they do.
Okay.
Yes,
so anyway, that's next Thursday at lunchtime at 12 noon. So please join me if you're interested in all the great laws. Mainly they favor the women, believe it or not, in the Talmud about love and marriage and romance. And now we turn and we're concluding with our thoughts of those who are no longer with us as we prepare for the Kaddish prayer. We remember those. We begin with Shloshim, remembering those who passed away during these last 30 days.
We begin with those who passed away during Shloshim, the last 30 days. Evelyn Buckspan, Ruth Cohen, Jerusha Rebecca Seamantob Darvish, Gary Ann Dryden, Ray Friedman, Fred Furman, Elliot Caption, Beverly Landy, David Keene Levitt, Charles Leonard Levin, Lois Liebhaber, Matthew Madwin, Rosangela Rinsky, Leah Sauter, Steffi Shadle, Linda Schur, Lee Schick, Lee Simon, Marcy Stillerman, Bernard Bob Tooman. We also remember those whose yortzites, the anniversary of their deaths, were this past week. Julius Adler, Abe Alex, Barbara Alpert, Sarah Ansel, Henry Arden, Irene Bacharach, Sam Bailey, William Becker, Beth Benson, Philip Berman, Yehuda Budai, Ralph Bookman, Sam Breitbart, Nat Bubar, Riva Burstein, Albert Dorskind, Ruth Dubin, Henry Epstein, Betty Feldman, Hyman Fischler, Nathan Fleischer, Robert Frank, Melanie Freestadt, Lawrence Gluckin, Bertha Heitner, Richard Heller, Bess Katzinger, Alexis Kaufman, Richard Kent, Meyer Kessler, Bernard Kislin, Rose Klein, Jonathan Kanovi, Paulina Konovi, Carl Kossower, Henry Coonan, Joseph Labins, Nat Levy, Pearl Lindheim, Sarah Lippo, Gertrude Morantz, Barbara McDermott, Rita Medaway, Florence Melvin, Nell Mendelson, Daniel Miller, Joseph Mittler, Marie Moran, Helene Nishizawa, Bernice Parker, Joan Perlmutter, Pearl Post, Mary Prell, Donald Relkin, Irving Revitz, Francis Richter, John Rosenblum, Edith Solomon Rotman, Lionel Safro, Francine Salter, Carol Schachter, Nancy Schmidt, Pauline Schulman, Martin Schwartz, Mary Schaffer, Murray Simmons, Ivan Sloan, George Smith, Howard Sobin, Richard Sonnenberg, David Sugarman, Herman Sugarman, Leon Wallace, Hannah Wolfe, Leora Wolfe, Frank Yablans, Martin Young, Charles Zlotkin, Jack Ziesman. We also remember those who gave their lives defending the United States of America and the State of Israel, and those who died in senseless terrorism, violence, and illness or disease. We take them all as our own.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chaye chon v'yomei chon v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach me'olam amen. Yitbarak v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudisha brichu ve'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata damiran v'yalma v'imru amen.
Amen.
Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Amen.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
Oseh shalom, shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom, Shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Hu yaseh shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Amen. Amen. Oseh shalom, shalom bimromav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel, ve'imru amen, ve'al kol Israel, ve'imru amen.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom to you, Susan.
And are we going to show the video at the end of America the Beautiful?
Let's ask Don Levy if he has it ready, and if not, we'll go back to our leftovers.
We may have a beautiful video of America the Beautiful, but we're waiting to see if it's going to come up. It is. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Enjoy this beautiful, beautiful video.
Shabbat shalom.
Oh, beautiful, our heroes proved in liberating strife. Who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America, America, make God thy gold refined, till all success be nobleness, and ever again divine. And you know, when I was in school, we used to sing it something like this. Listen here. Oh, beautiful, far spacious skies, far amber waves of grain, far purple mountain majesties, over the fruited plain. But now wait a minute, I'm talking about America, sweet America. You know, God done shed his grace on thee. He crowned thy good. Yes, he did. Heavy brotherhood from sea to shining sea. You know, I wish I had somebody to help me sing this. America, I love you, America. You see, my God, he done shed his grace on thee. You ought to love him for it, because he crowned that good. He told me he would.
Sorry.
Every brotherhood from sea to
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Hey, everybody. Stop clicking around. I am in the woods with some water.